Hey, this is Vince Papale. I'm a fellow Hawk brother, and of course I'm the guy from Invincible, and you're listening to Sports and Rants with Brett and Pants right here on 1851, my Hawk brothers, and the Hawk will never die.
And we are back live with Merrill Lynch financial advisor and former Philadelphia Eagle, Reggie Wilkes. How are you doing today, Reggie?
Good, guys. Good. How are you doing?
Oh, we're doing great. Thanks for coming on with us.
It's my pleasure.
All right, so we're going to talk a little bit about your career with the Eagles and then talk some financials about these rookie players that are coming in.
Okay.
All right, so to start out, you were just recently inducted into the Georgia Tech Hall of Fame. What is that like for you to be inducted into such a prestigious Hall of Fame such as that?
Well, let me make one clarification. I am proud to say that I was inducted to the Tech Hall of Fame about 15 years ago. The most recent induction, I'm proud to say, was the Georgia Sports Hall of Fame. That's the state of Georgia, which is a little, higher, I suppose. But it was great. I had a lot of my former teammates that came, Joel Williams, came Tommy Novus. But more importantly, I had all three of my coaches, my high school, college, and pro coach came to celebrate and share that award with me as well. Dick Mill was there, Pepper Rogers from Georgia Tech, and, of course, my high school coach, Cat Sparks.
So what was it like playing there and then the draft process coming out of Georgia Tech and experiencing that and going into the NFL for you?
Well, before I answer, let me just say that had it not been for the Eagles drafting me, I would never have met my wife, and I would never have had the opportunity to have two beautiful kids, Raina and Caroline. But to get to your question specifically, I was a pre-med student coming out of Tech, a bioengineering major. I got accepted to med school, and about a month later, I got drafted by the Eagles, and I had to make a decision as to whether or not I wanted to go discontinue my studies or play professional ball. And I, of course, decided to play football. It was a fun period of time. I was, drafted by the Eagles as their first pick in '78. They had two of their picks in 78 were traded away because of Bill Berge, who actually became a big mentor of mine. And it was a lot of fun. We didn't make as much money as these guys make today, but the process of working as a team, meeting new people, experiencing new things was tremendous and had a very big impact on my life with my family.
Did anybody give you any advice when you were coming into the league as you're, like what you do today with athletes and...
Yeah, a very good question. When I came in the league, obviously the money was as big as it is today. Sports revenues have gone up dramatically for everyone associated, owners, coaches, players. But no, to answer your question, the only people that really were actively involved with players back then were just the agents. And on many occasions, you found the agent was also your financial advisor and also took care of your taxes, helped you get your cars, your real estate, make personal decisions that probably should have been, as I've always said, should have been separated. But most athletes, did not have a financial advisor. They didn't have an accountant per se until they actually got in the league and realized Uncle Sam was going to be a 50-50 partner for the rest of their adult earning lives.
That's interesting. So, let's talk a little bit more about your career. When after the Eagles, you went to the Falcons. Did you enjoy your time back with being in Georgia? Was that expected coming back to Georgia? How did that happen?
Well, let me add some color to Philly first. Philly is my home now, and I'm so glad I had the chance to play here. And I've obviously made Philly my home, but as a rookie, I had a chance to start. I was able to I was on the first team All NFL rookie team, along with several teammates. Ended up playing 8 years, wonderful years here. Went to the Super Bowl. I have an NFC championship championship ring. Dick DeMille is still a very dear friend of mine to this day, Marion Campbell, who was my defensive coordinator. And then, Dick retired first time, and then I was traded to the Atlanta Falcons. Marion Campbell became the head coach, and he immediately traded for me. So I had a chance to extend my career. It was a wonderful experience to go back home to play in front of the home crowd. The Falcons at the time were a horrible team in terms of wins and losses. I thought they were just tremendous people on that team as well from a character perspective. And it was great. It was fun. Listen, I just had recently one of my clients who played 3 years was released by a certain team. And it made me kind of reflect on having played, actually played 10 years. I mean, that's still a long time, but this guy I thought would play at least 10 and ended up only playing 3. So it was from the perspective of time, it was just an excellent opportunity to meet more and more people over the course of my career, coaches included.
Now, we want to get into a little bit with you about playing under Coach Vermeil and playing in that Super Bowl. What was those experiences like?
Yeah, how does one coach compare to another coach's style with Vermeil?
Well, everyone knows about Coach Vermeil. He's a lovely person, very emotional person, and back then the rules that related to practice were not in place as they are today. There were no OTAs to speak of. You just worked out when you had to. But in terms of playing under Vermeil, we would be out on the field 2.5, 3 hours per practice. We'd go full pads, full practice. Today you can't do that. And it was very intense all the time. And you just had to be physically prepared, mentally prepared, and reflecting back on the career, you think, wow, perhaps if I had rested more, maybe I could have played more years, or maybe I wouldn't have had as many games and injuries that I had. But things have changed, I think, for the better. Dick Vermeil, from that perspective, who was very intense and just felt that the more work you put into the game, the better the outcome. Mellowed enough, in my personal opinion, to go to St. Louis and to share his experiences with that team and take them all the way to the bowl and win the thing. And that's a good thing. So we all, as former Eagles under Dick Vermeil, share in that success. But things have changed dramatically. I mean, these guys don't practice more than an hour and a half now. You can't go out in full pads, both practices. You have to go out in shorts on one and full pads on the other.
Yes.
But I can say that, in my opinion, most professional athletes today are bigger, stronger, faster than the players that I played against when I had a chance to play.
Even though they're bigger, stronger, and faster, do you think that back in your time playing, the group of players were tougher and, not as
fierce?
Yeah, exactly.
Listen, that's a difficult question to answer, and obviously the quick answer might have been yes, but I think players, once you get to the level of professional sports, there's no question that there's some physical and mental toughness about you. As to whether or not we were tougher back then versus today, it's equally as that's a difficult question. I mean, yeah, guys played the game. You played against equal talented players to be successful. So today, let's say they're bigger, stronger, faster, but that doesn't necessarily mean that they're tougher today or we were tougher back then.
Now, we want to get into a little bit of detail about the Eagles Super Bowl run and what that experience was like for you.
Well, we were on a tremendous high with the NFC Championship game here in Philly against the Dallas Cowboys. And that was the leading up to that game was wrought with emotion. It was also, reflecting back, we all wanted to win because of the city, the pride that Philadelphia has with their athletes and their sports programs. We had to win that game. And I honestly believe, having played the Oakland Raiders a week or two before, and we played them in the Super Bowl, I say 3 or 4 weeks at the end of the season, I think that we probably overplayed our hands in terms of preparation. So after the NFC Championship game, we go down to New Orleans. And being Dick Vermeulen had us practicing twice a day and locked up at night. Lights were out at 10 o'clock. You couldn't leave the hotel grounds. On the other hand, the Oakland Raiders were on Bourbon Street, and many of them, which is well known, partied all night. So from that perspective, I think leading into the game, we were just too tense. We really didn't have a chance to relax, enjoy the moment. But that does not take away from the success of that team and the tremendous influence Dick Vermeulen had on all of us, and to make it to the bowl. And you both know how difficult it is to get to the bowl, let alone win the thing. You have to get there first, and we got to the bowl.
Did the guys in the locker room feel the pressure, because the Eagles are Philadelphian? That's most of our teams here, and that's our team, the Eagles. Did you feel the pressure of the city on your backs?
Many a time, yes. Listen, if you make a bad play, you miss a tackle, or you miss a reception, you miss a block, you forget to cover a punt, you get booed, and you get booed bad. And, being in South Philly, which is where our stadium was, the best stadium was, on many occasions you had South Philadelphia fans that would be at practice, and they would not hold their tongue. You'd be out trying to have dinner. If you did well, they're your best friends in the world. If you didn't do well and you embarrassed the city, they would cream you. So it was important for the players to play as well as they could, reflecting back. When I reflect back, based upon just the sheer intensity of the fans. They wanted to do well for them.
You played with Pro Bowler Bill Bergey, Herm Edwards, and other great players. Who, with the Eagles, had a big impact on your career?
Well, I think from a spiritual standpoint, Randy Logan and Herm Edwards had a significant impact on my life. In terms of players, I mentioned Bill Bergey and Frank LeMaster, who were mentors of mine when I came into the league, and are still very close friends of mine today. So I think, from that standpoint, it was, those four guys, if you want to point out in terms of teammates. Harold Carmichael, who is still with the Eagles, is still an older brother, if you will. And you can't take away from the fact that Dick Vermeulen is who he is. You can't sometimes describe how important he has been in the lives of players and their families over the years. But I can tell you one thing: if you cross Dick Vermeulen, if you cross him, you do something he doesn't like, he will cut you off in a second. So don't think he doesn't have his side that says, this is the path. You veer off that path. Don't call me.
Like Bill Bergey was an impact player, like I mentioned. He was a Pro Bowler. How did your role as an outside linebacker compare to his role on the defense?
Well, back in the day, we played the 3-4 defense. So each part of that, in terms of that's 3 down linemen and 4 linebackers. So each linebacker had to know what the other was doing. So I mostly played on the left side. Berger was on the left side, and inside, then you had Frank LeMaster and Jerry Johnson on the right, or Bunting, whomever was on the field. But it was critically important that there be communication between the inside and the outside linebackers, and because the defensive signals came from us, we moved the defenses around. We made the adjustments, called the plays. The defensive backs, well, of course, had to know what we were doing. We had to know where they are. My cornerback on my side at that time, Roynell Young, I had to know where he was going to be each time, because sometimes offenses would be structured where they'd isolate me on a pass play, or they'd isolate I call him Bubba, Bill Bergey on a run or a pass play. So you had to be prepared to know if you were the primary backup, make sure there's no big play that happens. lot of film study. We became very close. We had film study 3 days a week. And so when you spend that much time with someone, you get to know all the nuances, their likes and dislikes, and know them as person, as human beings.
Now, you had the opportunity, you were playing defense when one of the greatest plays in Eagles history occurred, the miracle at the Meadowlands. Do you remember that moment, and can you take us back to that?
No, vividly. That was rookie year. We were 8-7 last game against the Giants. We beat them. We go to the playoffs in my rookie year. So I recall Frank LeMaster on the last plays of the game. Instead of just allowing them to kneel, Frank goes up to the guard and levels. So their offensive lineman got upset, and Masarchek decided, let's go ahead and run a play. Now the coaches had told him just to kneel down and finish the game. And he messed around and decided, okay, we'll just run a play. We'll teach you. And then that's when the fumble happened. If you look at the film, Herb is on the opposite line of scrimmage. He sees the ball on the turf. He runs to pick it up. And I literally am also running to try to get it as well and almost knocked him off the ball. But thankfully, he picked it up, ran it in, and we went to the playoffs. So I could have easily been the GOAT in that play.
So now we want to get into a little bit about current players and financial situations with these guys.
Yeah, you had a successful football career, but what got you started on the financial side? Did that start while you were playing?
Okay, well, my first couple of years in the league, I decided I wanted to go back to inside med school. So I was at Temple University my first year, and trying to determine whether or not I could do both. Realized, watching my wife go through her medical school education, I just couldn't do it. So I decided early on to take different courses, one of which was a class at University of Penn, a real estate course, which I'm proud to say I got an A in, and I learned how to structure real estate deals. And I found out I really enjoyed business. And that led me to the opportunity to look at business as an alternative, job, or if you will, a career after I got out of ball. The other thing is I noticed a lot of my teammates, former teammates, were coming back, and they were financially in stress, 1, 2, 3 years out of the league. And once I realized there was a problem, I decided I wanted to be part of the solution. So I learned as much as I possibly could about finances, managing money, how to deal with people, communicating, and led me to Merrill Lynch. I interviewed with several firms after I retired, and Merrill was the one I thought that had the best educational program for their advisors. And I am at Merrill today. Now, I was at Merrill my first 10 years out of the league, and then I left to start my own company. I sold that twice, if you will, and came back. And I started working with athletes after my 5th year, working with Reggie Wilkes, who, as you know, played a long career in the NBA, won the NBA championship, ended out of Philadelphia. And Reggie has been literally led to at least 20 players that I work with today.
Now, in your opinion, why do so many guys, especially rookies coming into the league, have trouble managing their money? And we see now a lot of athletes are now coming out saying they're broke, things like that. Why do you think that is?
There are multiple reasons. The primary reason is the divorce rate. The general population has a divorce rate of 40%. Professional athletes have a divorce rate north of 65%. So there's your number one reason. Difficulty in communicating with your spouse, girlfriend, significant other. Of course, secondly is spending, which some would argue will be the primary reason, but spending for whatever reason, just things for things that lose their value immediately, like cars, jewelry, not having a game plan, not managing their lifestyle, children. It costs $200,000 plus to send a kid to college these days. So when you have 4 and 5 kids, you're talking about $1 million a year perhaps to get them through college. That's $4 million. That's a lot of money. But I think the primary reason is no game plan, not having a vision to realize you're only playing 5 to 10 years, and that money must last you for a good 40 to 50 years. And thinking that perhaps you can make up for lost time. The other thing is inverting what we call the investment pyramid. And that is, instead of having at the base of the pyramid are your conservative investments, the top of your risky investments. You know, a pyramid goes and it points up at the top. At the top, it has a big point. They invert that. Most of your assets should be at the base of that pyramid in conservative investments, cash, money market, bonds, conservative stocks. Most athletes trying to make up for losing money will put most of their money at the top, where you can lose high returns, but you can lose your money overnight. In other words, poor asset allocation models. And that, of course, that means how much you put in and you allocate to certain asset classes, whether it be money markets, equities, bonds, alternative investments, real estate. And they try and, they spend all their money and try to make up with these very seriously risky deals, and they lose their money.
Now, what do you tell a guy like Jadeveon Clowney, who signed a giant signing bonus, $20 million, and is guaranteed this money, a guy that's coming out of college, never had this amount of money in his life? What do you tell a rookie like that?
I tell my guys to first educate themselves the first year. And in fact, most of my guys don't really do a lot of serious investments until their second year. So I tell them the first year or two, very conservative, keep your money in cash, short-term bonds, and then after your first year, then you can move to a more risky investments.
Well, I got a question about the discipline that you learned playing football. Did this help you with managing your money and lead you to this career field to help manage other players' money?
Of course, no doubt about it. I've learned from my mistakes. I've learned from some of their mistakes as well. So I'm still trying to, I'm always looking for new ways to make money and conserve money. I'm actually headed down to see a client now who has been with me for a long time.
Yeah, if we're like running into your time, just let us know.
Yes. All right.
Yeah. As we were talking before, we mentioned how some of these players are essentially financially illiterate. So, why do you think, what taught them, what do you think we could do that'll teach them to have that knowledge? Whether it's a rookie symposium, or do you have any ideas about that?
Well, they have rookie symposiums to help these kids, but a lot of times they don't listen. They go to the meetings and they go to sleep. You need to pay attention to the details of these things. And a lot of guys just don't take it seriously, or they wait too late, or they have the wrong advisors, the wrong teams.
Do you tell?
I'm actually at the airport now, guys. Sorry, I gotta run.
All right. Thanks for coming on with us. We appreciated it.
Okay.
All right.
Good luck to you guys.
Thank you.
Thank
you very much.
Take care.
This concludes our podcast of Sports and Rants with Brent and Pants. Thank you for listening. Please follow us on Twitter at Sports and Rants. Like us on Facebook. Remember to subscribe to us on iTunes. And visit our website, www.sportsandrants.blogspot.com. It would help our rankings on iTunes if you rate and review our podcast. Thanks, and have a good day.